Welcome back to Real Estate Radio San Antonio with Carla and Stan, and we're here with Craig and Libby Ross from the Ross Group, or Ross Team, Ross Group, I guess is what it is. Group.
It's a group.
Ross Group with your team. So, some exciting things that we've been talking about, and the passion I see come forth with you on talking about getting the homes prepared with your realtor, or with your buyers and the team that you use. So. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that. What do you think, Carla?
Yeah, I like Libby mentioned on a well prepared home. So, just kind of walk us through that. If you're getting a listing, and how do we prepare that home, that seller, to have that well prepared home,
make
that shiny
top dollar
penny,
sale?
that shiny
Exactly.
penny. Yes.
You know, Carla, staging kind of originated from a need back when the market had crashed back in 08, 09. It was tough to even sell a home. So then we all started to think, God, we've got to make it look good. It's got to be better. The photos need to be better. And so staging was born. And there is a professional designation that I have, and that my stager that we use for our group, she's an interior designer in San Antonio. She does consultation on all of my listings, because every home, no matter the price or the size, usually needs something to ready it for photos. You want your rooms to look large. You want them to look grand. You don't want the clutter. We say clutter eats equity. And all the little distracting items that can be on your cabinets or in on your shelves. When you look at that photo, you don't have that feeling of peace that we want to convey. A lot of it is a little bit subjective, but it starts with depersonalizing.
I was going to say that.
When a buyer walks into the home, they want to see themselves in that home. They don't want to see pictures of Carla and Stan and their children and their grandchildren and their pets, because they want to feel like it's theirs. And then if your home has high ceilings, maybe you need art that's larger and grander. Because really, we're selling a lifestyle. We're selling the dream. And so what you've got going on inside your home with your decor, your accessories, and your art really needs to match the price tag that's on your home. And so that's really where staging is very valuable.
Yeah, Libby and I talk about it all the time, that, when you live in a home, you buy it to live in it.
Yeah.
So you paint it the colors you want. And if that's red or blue or even black, whatever that is, it's you living in that home. But when you sell the home, you have to make a shift in your head. I don't technically own this home anymore. Yeah, I'm still the owner. I know it's got to close, right? But the bottom line is, I'm trying to attract buyers. How do I do that? Well, how do builders do it? You walk into a builder model, what does it look like? It's got,
it's fantastic.
Light walls, beige colored walls. It's got, if you go into the secondary bedrooms, you don't see a king size bed. You see a small twin bed. Even if you go into the master bedroom, you usually don't see a king. You see usually a small queen, because you want to see that larger room. You want to see large space, and you want the rooms lighter. So, and having, big high ceilings, it's hard because people put art up and they get very personal about their stuff.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. We're not telling them that, hey, well, you got stuff that doesn't look good. And you have to be careful as a realtor, because you're not trying to tell them, no, that's not what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is, a buyer comes in here, their eye is looking for that lifestyle. And that's what Libby was really talking about.
So, I can kind of see a third party where it kind of takes, if they're open to a stager, to me it's exciting. It's kind of like a personal shopper.
Exactly.
And finding me something I wouldn't normally find, where if you have a stager or someone that's going to give me some personal attention about how to make my house look better, I would be very excited. And I think that maybe that being a third party, that'd be easier for you than...
It's true.
Easier for her to say something to your seller than you.
Than me saying
or
it.
Or Craig.
And
right?
usually we do it together, because, I think that the seller needs to know that the whole team is rallying around them to get the house prepared. And then if I had a nickel for every seller that said, wow, I wish I had met her when I bought the house. If I knew the couch should be over here, I'd have done that
It's more than 70, 75, maybe 80% of the listings where the buyer comes back because they're gone
seller,
or excuse me, the seller, when the seller comes back home after, the stager and Libby and everybody's there putting it together, they walk in. She's literally had them cry, like the TV shows,
Yeah.
the remodels.
Yeah.
It's very similar. They walk in like, oh my gosh, I don't want to move.
You guys could do an HG San Antonio.
Oh, we surely could.
Absolutely.
Especially with some of the remodels that we do,
Yeah.
because it's not just staging, it's carpet and paint, light fixtures.
Have you ever had someone come back and say, maybe we don't want to sell?
No,
No
but I've
way.
had someone come back and say, wow, I'm really not that thrilled because this isn't my style. And so you do a little more educating that I know it's not your style, but we're appealing to the whole market. And they do end up coming around. We had one that just sold, and that was the staging items were not her style.
Right.
But she said, I'm so glad we did it.
So when you get it perfectly staged and you get it well prepared, do you do anything with the outside?
Oh,
for-
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even though it's hot in San Antonio, we want those exterior living spaces to be living spaces. So we will sometimes take our own rugs and patio furniture and plants and make a living room outside if there isn't one.
Right.
Maybe it's just for the photos, or maybe it lasts the listing, but it's really important to characterize that outdoor space.
Well, and that's a good point, too, is to bring in also when we talk about the photos, one of the really beneficial, and I think probably the most important thing, especially the way technology has gone, is that we now do HDR resolution photos. So these are almost vector images, which a vector image is like, doesn't matter what format you use, but it focuses and becomes in focus as you put it on your device or tablet or computer screen. And so these images are just popping off the screen. And that's the level of quality that you have to be in this world. Well, people are looking at the new iPhone 6 Plus with the big screen or their Galaxy. They want to see that pop. And so that kind of quality of photo, that's why we have professional photographers and use that photo imagery for all of our brochures, listings, and MLS.
And I've seen your pictures, and they're beautiful.
Thank you.
They're beautiful.
I think
And
if you
so-
look at our listings, they look
Yeah.
very consistent one to the other, whether it's a $300,000 home or a $3 million home. We want to get that consistent look.
Price doesn't matter. It's just that we do it. We treat them all the same.
We do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Pretty much. I mean, obviously on a higher dollar listing, there's a little bit of a difference. If I had an individual that's putting a $1 to $2 million home on the market and they have super high ceilings, which many of those homes do, and they may have a really nice piece of art, but people get all kinds of personalized pieces of art.
That's right.
What I would tell somebody, rather than even just doing staging in that situation, is buy something you can take with you. Put something big that you need to put there that's got a lot of color, but it's something that you can move to your next home. So it's an investment for you. If you've got the money to buy or sell a $1-2 million home, I would definitely do that on the staging side rather than just the same staging materials we use for a $200,000 home. But it's still the same philosophy, and that's definitely the point.
We've talked about staging and about photos, and if you've just joined us, I just remind you listening to Real Estate Radio you're listening to Real Estate Radio San Antonio with Carla and Stan. That brought smiles on everybody here. And we're with Libby and Craig Ross, and sitting here next to Carla, my wife, and business partner as we talk about this. But we've got the staging and the photos out. If someone is wanting to list their home and they want to sell for the top dollar naturally, because everybody wants to sell top and buy low. That's the way that we all are. We've been trained and those things. So you need that education. Kind of take me through the process, if you would.
Sure.
On if I was to walk up to you, I was to call you, and why I would call you, and Craig, and say, hey, I want to sell my house. Tell me what I need to do, and what are you going to do for me?
Right. Well, the first thing we would do is gather a lot of information from you, Stan. I'd have you pull out your notebook and start writing down the upgrades that you've done in your ownership to the home. One, I need to know them. Two, if your price is top dollar, you want your prospective buyer to know the money that you've spent and the upgrades you've put in. But the most important reason is when we've got appraisal and we're selling your home and it's the highest one in the neighborhood, I need that home to appraise so that the buyer's financing can go through. So that list of upgrades is very important in the beginning. So we have them gather a lot of information in the beginning. And then, of course, we go to the home and consult with what we see. And it's different for each circumstance.
Good.
That's a great idea even for our listeners that may be thinking about selling. Is if you've done upgrades, start putting that list together, because like Libby said, that's very important to get top dollar and add value to your house, because many times an appraiser will come back and ask for what you've done to the house.
Absolutely. Not when you put together the list. Put together the list of upgrades, whatever you've done, whether it's plantation, shutters, carpet, whatever.
Right.
But then we put a price to it.
Okay.
I want to see a price, and I want to see a total. So if you've spent $65,000 on upgrades because you've owned the house in the last 2 years, absolutely, that's going to. I mean, an appraiser's going to look at that and say, "Thank you."
Yeah.
Thank you for providing me information to allow me to make an informed decision.
That's right. And I mean, that's the difference between, working with a top professional and just, because not every realtor knows this.
No, they don't. And
so,
it's a massive benefit from my end, having 25 years in the mortgage business and being, looking at a loan and appraisers from a whole different side. And now being on this side and understanding that an appraiser just wants to do their job the best they can. So the problem out there, as we all know, has been lenders and realtors that push. But what are they pushing for? They're asking for a number. They're not giving documentation and helping somebody make an informed decision. When you get out of your own way sometimes, Stan, right? You help people and inform them. It's amazing how everybody comes together and can make something happen.
It's like, what did you base this on? Just share that information and everybody's on the same page.
Absolutely.
Correct. And we go to every appraisal that we have. I show up personally with my packet with full color pictures, all of the upgrades, the contract information, and the comparables. And the appraisers love it.
Oh, you do?
And 9 times out of 10, knocking on wood, our home's appraised.
That's
just fine.
awesome. You guys touched on the luxury market a little bit.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about that. That's certainly changed. We've talked about a buyer market to a seller market, but a few years ago, our luxury market was very non-existent almost.
That luxury market in San Antonio has really changed in the last couple of years, I would say, probably.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this is what we're talk about luxury market on our final segment of our show. But we're gonna take a quick break right now. We're gonna go to commercial break here. You're listening to Real Estate Radio San Antonio and on KLUP with Craig and Libby Ross, our guest today, with Carla and Stan Hester.